I saw on your Twitter, it's like relationship clips from your show, this and that, and then ranting about
the Packers. Yeah.
What's up, you guys? I'm Rachel DeMita, and welcome to the Courtside Club. Today, I'm joined by TV personality, Bachelor Star, and host of the Viall Files, Nick Viall.
How's it going?
Welcome to the Courtside Club.
Thanks for having me.
We've been meaning to do this for a while. I'm glad it worked out in our busy schedule.
We're here now,
It did. And I know that you're a sports fan, TV personality. A lot of people know you from The Bachelor.
Yeah.
3 seasons there.
Yeah.
Well, 1 season Bachelor, 2
No, technically 4 iterations.
4 iterations.
I did 2 seasons of The Bachelorette, 1 of Paradise, and then I was The Bachelor.
Oh, Paradise. So that is actually the one that I've tapped into the most, I will say.
Definitely the best. I feel like those were my best. Yeah, that was my best work, I like to say. Yeah.
It's fun, right?
It is fun. I had a really good time.
Like
if I could
chill?
do it again without the TVs and the expectation to like fall in love or meet someone, but like just to go there with friends, great experience. I would do it again.
Everybody wants a paid vacation.
It's summer camp for adults. It's fun. Yeah.
So there's a new season out right now. It's very new, right? There's
They've
only
had 1 episode. Yeah.
1 episode.
Yeah.
What would be your advice for the new Bachelor? Zack?
My advice to him, if he like reached out today, I would give him advice more around managing his mental health and expectations as the show airs, because there's like 2 phases that the lead has to deal with, which is filming the show, which is mentally and physically it's a nightmare. Not to sound like it's a very amazing opportunity that opens up a lot of doors and gives you incredible access, but like it takes very much a toll physically and mentally when you're filming it. It's nonstop. It's 16, 18-hour days. It's a lot.
And how long is it go for?
Non-pandemic, when they were like not traveling and locked in a hotel, I think it's like about 8.5, 9 weeks.
That's a long time.
And so, but then like once you're done filming, which is like a really nice relief, then there's the whole, like, while it's airing, is also another challenge. Like, I don't know what Zack's situation is, whether he's in a relationship or not, or, engaged or not. But it's a very complicated world of kind of navigating your role as the lead or the Bachelor, the Bachelorette, and trying to start this new relationship if you're in one, which it's one thing to be on the show and be fighting for the affection of one person while you're going on group dates and watching other people date the same person you're catching feelings for. But like once that relationship is solidified down to one person, and usually with an engagement, the expectations can drastically change.
Yeah.
And then that person starts watching you make out with other people and hear you say things to them that was like, well, that's weird.
Right.
You watch an episode and it might be episode 4, and the person you're now engaged to, you're watching them on a date talking about how like no one makes me feel the way you make me feel,
Yeah.
And it's like, so that's a very
Right.
challenging experience for anyone in that position. And so the advice I would give him is to like, if he's in a relationship, to prioritize that relationship above all else, and try to attack your relationship as a team rather than 2 individuals. It's easier said than done because they're very much getting to know one another, and you don't fall in love with the actual person. You fall in love with whatever version that you got to see while they were in a very untraditional and structured and staged environment that
Right.
is meant to elicit the maximum amount of emotion. So like the connections are real because of the environment that they're in, but you don't know if the feelings that you're feeling are more manufactured rather than genuine. And no one really knows that until they get out in the real world.
Well, it's a manufactured environment. Like the feelings are real, but none of us regular people are ever going to be in that situation. There are situations where if you're single, you're maybe dating multiple people
Sure.
at once, but no one else is seeing any of those dates either. So having to watch it back, I've never once saw myself on a date having to watch it back on
weird.
TV.
I mean, I've said this before too, but when I was going through it, my first time, on The Bachelorette, I remember having the thought of like, I know I like her, and I know I really like her, but I also know I'm really competitive, and what I don't know is I can't honestly answer which is playing a bigger role into my feelings, the authenticity of my feelings. Like, she was someone that I would have, naturally been attracted to, and I didn't know. Like, like I could be self-aware enough to know, oh, I'm a competitive guy. Like, how much is that playing a role? But you can't answer that question until you're out of the bubble.
Right.
And so you kind of have to take a leap of faith and just say, well, like, we'll see.
Then there's almost more pressure when you're out, because everybody's seeing this fairy tale come to life. And then if it doesn't work out exactly how the world planned,
it's just like, oh, you didn't try.
Right.
It wasn't authentic. You did it for the fame. Yeah.
You're the villain.
It can be definitely a challenge, and it's not an ideal way for anyone to start a relationship. As hard as filming the show is, having the show being aired if you're in a relationship is even harder.
Yeah. So one thing that you have really settled into and really owned, which I am in awe of because I'm terrible at it, is being vulnerable with your personal life. And now, congrats, you just got engaged.
Oh, thank you.
As what it seems, in a healthy, happy relationship. And you're very open about it. And you share all these things via your podcast and different social media platforms. But how are you able to kind of keep that balance of like keeping your mental health and the health of your relationship with also being in the spotlight?
Weirdly enough, I still kind of consider myself a private person. Like, I'm not trying to share everything about my life or our relationship, but I give a lot of relationship advice on my show. I try, especially now at this point in my life, I try to incorporate my own advice into my own life. Oh, easier said than done sometimes. But especially when I notice we are, Natalie and I, when we do things at work or where we might face a challenge and we can overcome it, it's nice to be able to share that with my audience. Is like, hey, this happened. This was a challenge. And this is how we got through it. You might, maybe you guys can try to incorporate that. And so that's just kind of the mental process I kind of think about when I'm, willing to put something out there. And then it's just a big thing for me to not read my own press, or read comments or Google myself or read articles or go on Reddit. It's just it's none of my business.
Reddit can be a dark rabbit hole.
And so I protect my mental health by, setting some boundaries with myself about not doing that. No one's perfect, and I've gone down rabbit holes and I've made the mistakes certainly in the past, but it's something I put a lot of effort into to not do, because there's just no positive outcome to getting feedback from a stranger. Compliments are dangerous because they're easy to want to believe. And, so when you read a lot of like, oh, you're amazing, you're great, that's wonderful, whatever compliment, it's easy to go, yeah, thank you, oh, great, yeah. But subconsciously, if you're gonna believe that, then you have to believe the criticism, because you just spent the past few seconds like validating strangers' feedback, and so you have to believe the negative if you're willing to believe the positive. So it's
it only takes one negative too to like bring you all the way down.
but that's because you spent all this time saying that these strangers' feedback are truthful. These are right. Like, your subconscious is forced to believe the negative. You can't just brush it off. You can't say, oh, well, they don't know me, because you spent all this time being like, I am awesome.
They do know me.
They do know me. I am great. So it's a very dangerous game to read your own press, so to speak.
With you and Natalie, you talked about that you feel like you're still kind of private, and there are some things that you keep private. Was that a discussion that you guys had to protect your relationship?
We talk a lot about it. I mean, with someone, I have a relationship dating podcast, and so, we communicate everything. I mean, just, we recently got engaged, and just last night we were talking about like, what are we comfortable with us sharing? Having a relationship and dating podcast, it's not so much what the outcome is, it's like the process. Like, how did you guys communicate, and what was your style to get to whatever your answer was or your decision?
Right.
So, we talked about that, about how, we're open to sharing that, and we might not be open to sharing what our decision was, at least right away. So then that keeps a level of privacy without holding too much back, and sharing with people like how they were able to work through some tough conversations or big conversations that can often lead to disagreements or being not on the same page, and how we work through that is something we're willing to share.
It's weird, right? Because this new age, it is a conversation that you do have to have with your partner at some point if you have any sort of social media presence.
Yeah.
Even me, like having over 1 million followers, it's hard for me to be open about my personal life. And that even goes to friends and family. I'm so hesitant about posting them or sharing about it because I know how people come at me. Yeah. And maybe I need to take a note from your book and like not read comments. It would hurt worse if it comes for those people. You know what I mean? And my boyfriend as well, being somewhat of a public figure, there are things with his job, and he's an athlete, and people are always wondering like if he's training, if he's coming back, what our dynamic is, because we are both basketball players, this and that. And there are some things that people ask, like, where is he? What's he doing? That's not my business to share.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But totally. It's something, obviously, I know exactly what's going on.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah. I think like with anything in a relationship, you just have to communicate boundaries, and then you have to respect each other's boundaries and figure out what you're both comfortable with. And you just also have to figure out what's the priority. Like my two biggest priorities in my life right now are my career and my relationship. And I would say in the reverse order, it's my relationship comes first.
Yeah.
That's the priority. And so I got to figure out, all right, like it might be better for my show to like just dish out everything, but as much as my show's a priority, the relationship's a bigger priority. So I have to find ways to incorporate our relationship on my show that fits with the boundaries we set for our relationship, because that's the higher priority.
Speaking of athlete and celebrity relationships, is there any advice that you would give to people who are in the spotlight? You
got to know where you stand in your relationship. You got to know where you rank on each other's priority list. Because that can play a big role. And if you're lucky enough to feel like you're your person's number one priority above all things, and all decisions that relate to their life, like career or personal life, kind of like the barometer is the relationship, that gives you an immense amount of trust. You have to like every so often check in with yourself about your relationship and feel like, yeah, I feel like it's pretty equitable. Like I've made sacrifices, she's made sacrifices, vice versa. And like, we feel like we're both there to support, again, us. And like, I don't think there's enough of conversations that happen on that level. And I think oftentimes in a relationship, there's usually one person feeling like they're doing more of the work, or they're making the sacrifices, and the other person just doesn't see the commitment or the prioritization that they're putting into it.
There's going to be times too where it's 70-30 or it's 20-80 at different times during your relationship, depending on what's going on in that individual's life. I think it's interesting with athletes as well, because their career ends very young.
Sure.
For most. Like NBA is 30s. Like LeBron's playing till almost 40 now, but that's unheard of in a way.
NFL, your average career is 3 years.
Right. And then you have the rest of your life, with this relationship with this person. And then it's almost like, I was a former athlete. You were as well. I did some research into that. Like finding your new identity after this career that really took your whole life. And I wonder how that plays into relationships as well. I'm not the relationship guru. That's why we have you on. But
I imagine it can be a struggle. Like, I think you hear a lot of stories of professional athletes who, especially ones that had a great career or a long career, and then they retire, and you hear about like kind of an identity crisis that they can face. I can only imagine. The closest I can come to that is like, being the Bachelor. And then, you're for like 6 months, you're treated like an A-list celebrity. You're not actually an A-list celebrity, but you're getting that type of access for a period of time. And then that quickly slows down. And then that, but imagine being an athlete who experiences that access for a period of time, and that kind of attention and that identity. And I think if you don't really feel confident, secure with who you are, or if you don't have a purpose, an individual purpose, I think that can play a significant role and cause a ton of stress on a relationship. Because like a relationship, I don't feel like it can give you purpose, on a certain level. I think you have to have your own identity, and a relationship kind of rounds that out.
Nick, here on Courtside Club, we like to take a halftime break if you're down.
Great. Yeah.
With Caesars Sportsbook and Casino, every bet earns with Caesars Rewards. That means whether you win or lose, you're always earning towards perks like free stays at iconic Caesars properties, game tickets, dining, and more. And if you haven't started yet, here's a reminder. Your first bet is on Caesars, up to $1,250. Download the app with promo code OMAHAFULL and place your first bet. If you win, congrats. If you don't, you'll get your stake back as a bet credit.
So I have a little game for you. We have All-Star quickly approaching. So I would like you... Are you familiar with the new All-Star setup?
In the NBA?
Yeah.
Where they do like draft... They draft their own teams?
Yeah, so basically, yeah. So I want you to be the captain of your All-Star team, but we are choosing from Bachelor Nation, and it can be current, past...
But like what game are we trying to win? Are we playing basketball?
Oh, no, they don't have to be athletic. This is just your All-Star cast.
For like most compelling season?
Yeah, let's do it.
Sure.
Most compelling, most viewership. So I need your starting 5, your coach, and your 6th man. You can also coach if you want.
I'll be the coach since I've there's nothing on that show I haven't done, so I can probably give a personal anecdote to my players, so to speak. Let's see. I'd put Hannah Brown in there.
It's a big player.
She's a star.
She's running point.
Caitlin Bristow as well, probably.
Okay.
For the guys.
But we need also kind of like that Dennis Rodman on the team. That little fire.
We probably should put Tyler Cameron in there just because I think people would be disappointed if he's not in there. Maybe I'd be a player's coach. You're
gonna be a player coach?
I'll be a player's coach.
We're putting you in the starting lineup too.
I'll put Ashley and Jared in there as well.
So one's coming off the bench because now we have 6.
I'll have Jared come off the bench.
Jared's coming off the bench. Yeah. So our starting 5.
Hannah
at the
Caitlin,
1. Caitlin at the 2.
Tyler
at the 3. You at the 4?
Sure. And then Ashley.
You're pretty tall. And then Ashley's our center.
Yeah.
And Jared
She's very versatile. She's like a Magic Johnson. She can run point and play center.
Play 1 through 5. Yeah. All right, it's time for the second half. Speaking on reality TV shows, any other reality show that you could see yourself on? Obviously not dating. We have that covered.
Not as a contestant. Yeah.
No, like Dancing with the Stars.
I've already did. I've done Dancing with the Stars.
You did?
Yeah.
How did I miss that one? How did you do on Dancing with the Stars?
Top 5 or 6.
Okay.
Yeah. Nancy Kerrigan and I went home the same week.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So I had Rashad Jennings on Courtside Club.
I was on his season.
Okay, you were? He won?
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I had a really great time. I wish I could do it again, only for the purpose. I wish I would have had more fun. I really wanted to do well, and
because you're competitive.
And I like to dance too, but I got real nervous. I psyched myself out rather than just like it's very technical ballroom dancing. It's not like going to a wedding and just being goofy, Yeah. So it's like remembering your steps, and I wish I would have cared less about screwing up and had more fun, and I think I would have subsequently performed better.
So you grew up playing sports, track.
Yeah, I played every sport, but track and baseball were my 2 best. Yeah.
And you won state for track?
In high school, yeah.
That's pretty sick.
Thanks. Yeah.
Like not a lot of people say they have a state ring. That's all I ever wanted in basketball, and we always had a good enough team to get there. And it was just, we were one of those teams that would underestimate bad teams that we should have beat.
Sure.
And it has always happened in playoffs. And that's like one thing me at 32 years old still regrets not having a state ring. So I saw that, I was like, that's pretty fire.
Okay, yeah. I mean, lucky enough for track, I didn't have to rely on my teammates. I mean, I won it as an individual, and I won one as a member of a relay team. So there's teammates there. But
what was your relay? You did individual was 800, or was that your
4? We were 2, and then 4x4 we won as well.
That's sick.
Yeah.
So then in college, you
8 and 4. I was better at the 8. It's like one of those things in college. I was a pretty fast sprinter, but in college you kind of move up a class.
For sure.
In a way, right?
Yeah.
It's basically run that fast, but just do it twice as long.
I ran the 4, the 8, and the 16, and I was best at the 8 and the 16. They say the 400 is the basketball player's race, but I was too slow for that because it is a sprint, but it's like a long sprint, you know?
Yeah. So 800 in college is a sprint too. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. That's next level, but that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's a sprint with like more endurance than those.
I threw up a lot. Yeah.
You grew up in Milwaukee?
Yeah, suburbs of Milwaukee.
Are you a Bucks fan?
I am.
Okay. How are you feeling? You guys won the chip. Was it 2 years ago?
I feel like
you have a star in Giannis.
It feels like they're, they honestly should be better. Record should be a little bit better. They seem like they're doing the same thing they did last year, where it's just like they're teetering at the top of the division, but they well, before they won the championship game, they were kind of like the regular season heroes, where they weren't losing many games. They were just crushing everyone, and then they wouldn't perform in the playoffs. And then they did when they won the championship. But like last year, it's just like, it was 82 games. I don't know. There's like you rest players, but it just seems like they're
coasting right now.
Yeah, they're coasting a little bit.
Yeah.
And
it's definitely that time of year.
Yeah.
I feel like after All-Star, like a few weeks after All-Star, they start ramping up again. The guys do, whether they're doing it subconsciously or not, because then they know, okay, we got to get a seed. What seed do we want?
Yeah.
Now we have to turn it on.
Yeah. And it's tough. Well, last year they lost Chris Middleton in the playoffs, and I think they beat Boston pretty easily if he's not hurt.
Yeah.
They took him to 7 games without Chris Middleton.
Mm-hmm.
They really lost a lot by losing his defense more than anything. But we'll see. I mean, I think they're as good as any team.
Right. But I think it's cool for the NBA because before they won that chip, it was a lot of these super teams in big cities.
Yeah.
I actually loved seeing that because I was like, this is how you can still do it. Like we all, as fans, I don't think we all want to see all the superstars on the same teams.
I agree.
And in the finals, it's the same teams over and over. We don't want that.
Yeah, like there's not a lot of like, premier players like saying, let's go to Milwaukee and win a championship.
Right.
But yeah, it seems like the current Milwaukee Bucks are like this generations of like the San Antonio Spurs with Tim Duncan and Manu Ginobili and that team, where it's just like they clearly have a lot of good players, but they're homegrown and they're not it wasn't like San Antonio Spurs. They just signed someone to come in and win a championship game. They won several championships with their original roster, and I think it's good for the league, and it seems like the Bucks are that team right now. Hopefully they can win more than one with Giannis, and I think most Milwaukee fans, they feel pretty fortunate. His mindset. There's just not a lot of players like Giannis who would have re-upped in Milwaukee,
right?
And would have had that loyalty to the city, and it's been great. I mean, I truly never thought I'd see the Bucks win a championship game in my lifetime. I didn't think the economy of the NBA allowed for a market like that to compete, but they got a little lucky with drafting a player like him who was as good as him and had the mentality to want to build something in a small market city, and it's I think been not only great for as sports fans, it's been great for the city.
Huge Packers fan?
Very much, yeah.
I saw on your Twitter, it's like relationship, kind of your clips from your show, this and that, and then ranting about the
Packers. Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like it's an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah,
being
I definitely.
a Packers fan.
I'm aware that I kind of throw mild temper tantrums on Twitter when it relates to the Green Bay Packers. I'm like, you're seeing me tweet my feelings in real time while watching the game.
Yeah.
And
it's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. It's just like, it's like, I love you, but you suck. Like, I love you, but you guys choked.
Did you like the Rodgers
Loved
era?
the Rodgers era. I mean, listen, like, he's in a Hall of Fame quarterback, and I'm very grateful.
It's like,
but it's time to move on, I think.
Yeah.
It's time to move on. He's an interesting character. I don't know him personally, but like my personality might be, have some similarities to his, more so than like a Tom Brady. Not that I'm trying to compare myself, but like for the criticisms that Aaron Rodgers gets.
Yeah.
about kind of how he can rub people the wrong way. Like sometimes I'm like, I can see myself in that, where he can be aloof and a critical thinker, and he can kind of he's willing to speak out on things that might be outside of football, which not everyone likes when their athletes speak on topics that kind of bleed outside the sport. But I find him to be really interesting, and as a player and as a fan, it's been incredible. Like if you have a quarterback that's good, you go into every season at least thinking you're competing for a championship, whether you do or not. It's definitely a bummer he only won or has been to one. So definitely some of that is his fault. Some of that is the front office. Some of that is just they've had some tough injury luck at the wrong times. But as a fan, I'm ready to move on. I think they drafted Jordan Love for a reason.
Yeah.
And if they're going to invest a first-round draft pick in Jordan Love and 3 years of having him on the roster and coaching him up, it's time to start putting their money where their mouth is and see what Jordan can do and hopefully replicate the same type of success they had when they moved on to Aaron Rodgers from Brett Favre is that. So we'll see.
One quick note, did you know that it's 1,000-year wait list for season tickets?
For the Packers?
Yeah.
I don't know it's 1,000, but I know it's long. Last time I heard it was like 30 years or something like that. Maybe it's 1,000. I don't know.
Insanity.
Yeah.
So
well, it's if you've ever been to Green Bay?
No, I haven't.
It's the
You guys go hard there. Yeah.
It's an identity for the people of Wisconsin, and it's team owned, city owned, and it's great. It's an experience, and not to sound corny, but it's cool to be a Packer fan.
It's
at
a
least in my
lifestyle.
eyes.
Before I let you go, I have some buzzer beaters for you.
Shoot.
Describe your ideal food and drink combo while sitting courtside.
While sitting courtside, a good hot dog and a beer.
Okay.
But it has to be a good. There's a lot of hot dogs out there.
Are there good ones in Wisconsin?
Actually, yeah.
I could see that being like a good hot dog state.
I think Dodger dogs are dog.
Never had one.
They're not good. I mean, hot dog you can have. It's a wild card with what's in the hot dog. But there's some good hot dogs out there. The Brewers in Wisconsin, we're known for our sausages, so we take pride in those sausages. But on courtside,
I was kidding.
I love a good hot dog and a beer, I guess.
Cool.
If I'm courtside.
Who was one person, dead or alive, that you would love to sit courtside with?
Dead or alive? Jack Nicholson. He seems
no, but he's like a courtside legend.
Yes, and he also just seems he's a legend actor. I know people who've had the pleasure of knowing him, so I've heard some really cool stories about him, and that must be just a fascinating watch.
And what is one event in history, it could be a sporting event or other, that you would have loved to have been courtside for?
Bulls versus the Jazz. The
shot.
The shot, yeah. I was a massive Jordan fan as a kid. The crossover. Yeah, I would have loved to have been there.
Have you met him?
No.
Not yet. That's someone on my list too.
Oh yeah.
I bet you Michael Jordan has seen you on The Bachelor.
Yeah, probably a lot of people surprisingly watch it. I think I think when Obama was president, he made jokes referencing The Bachelor. He's got
cool.
2 daughters. It wouldn't shock me if
right.
It's amazing the people who watch that show. It's very surreal when certain people you find out know who you are, or just know that you exist. It's an interesting thing. Yeah.
Well, Nick, thank you so much for coming on the Courtside Club. I know you're a busy guy, but let everybody know where they can follow you and anything that they should be on the lookout for.
Well, thanks for having me. It's been a ton of fun. I guess more than anything, if you're a podcast listener, my show, The Viall Files, is you can listen to wherever you listen to podcasts. We also put our episodes out on YouTube if you're more of a visual person. We're a relationship and dating podcast that also talks a lot about pop culture, and so we kind of intersect, pop culture conversations with like real life relationship situations. And we do 3 shows a week, and we have people call in and share their stories, and I offer advice. We also every week have public figures and guests who come on and talk about either their lives or specific experience, or just we'll riff about pop culture. And if you are a reality TV fan, we will recap various reality TV shows as well. So a little something for everyone. But that's
you guys
the
do
show.
a great job. New studio too.
New studio, yeah. We just moved to a new studio, and it's been a lot of fun, and we're growing and trying to just grow even more. So it's been a lot of fun and pretty cool.
Cool. Well, guys, make sure that you check that out. Also, make sure to like and subscribe, and we will see you next time.
What's up, guys? It's Rachel DeMita. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode of Courtside Club. Make sure that you like, rate, and subscribe to ESPN's YouTube channel and wherever you listen to your podcasts. We have new episodes coming to you guys every single week, so stay tuned for that, and I'll see you soon.